Welcome to Sissygram Spicy Story channel. If you like my voice, then hit the like button and do subscribe our channel for regular updates. Today I come up with whole new content of story. So now let's start the story. The story I'm about to share is an incredibly personal one, filled with moments I never imagined experiencing. It began with trust, curiosity, and the intricate dynamics of human relationships. My husband and I have been married for over 7 years, building a life together full of love, laughter, and of course, the occasional challenge. However, I never expected one of those challenges to take the form of betrayal, cloaked in romance and seduction. It all started a few months ago on one of our usual Friday nights at home. My husband, whom we'll call Alex for this story, had invited his friend over for drinks. His friend, Maxim, had been a steady presence in our lives. He was there when Alex and I first met, served as one of the best men at our wedding, and over the years, we had become close. Maxim was charismatic, funny, and always knew how to lift the mood. There was no reason for me to suspect that anything unusual would happen that evening. As the night went on, our conversation meandered through topics like work and future plans. Then, unexpectedly, Alex brought up the idea of exploring new dimensions in our sex life. At first, I thought it was a joke. He casually mentioned how some couples add excitement by inviting others into their intimate lives. I laughed, assuming it was just one of those light-hearted, slightly tipsy conversations. But Alex didn't stop there. He continued talking about how much he trusted Maxim, how long they had been friends, and how he thought it might be thrilling for us to try something new. I was stunned. Was he serious? The idea of being with anyone besides Alex had never crossed my mind, let alone with his best friend. My thoughts spiraled, but I tried not to overreact, wondering if the alcohol was influencing him. However, as the conversation progressed, it became clear that Alex meant every word. He framed it as an idea for us to discuss together, emphasizing trust and the concept of exploring boundaries in a safe, loving way. Meanwhile, Maxim sat there quietly, occasionally offering a knowing smile, as though this wasn't a new topic between them. I felt torn. I loved Alex and trusted him, yet the suggestion felt completely outside my comfort zone. Alex, however, kept reassuring me, insisting this wasn't about betrayal, but rather about enhancing our connection and creating a shared experience. He spoke with such conviction that I started to feel tempted, though conflicted. A part of me was intrigued by the possibility of trying something so unconventional, so far beyond the limits of what I thought possible. Sensing my hesitation, both Alex and Maxim began describing the experience in romantic, almost enchanting terms. They assured me it would be slow, sensual, and entirely within my control. At any moment, they said, I could stop if I felt uncomfortable. The focus, they insisted, would be on my comfort and pleasure. Before I knew it, Alex leaned in to kiss me while Maxim watched. It felt surreal, like a scene from a movie. I didn't push Alex away, but I didn't fully reciprocate either. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of it all. Then Maxim moved closer, and the energy in the room shifted. What started as a kiss between Alex and me quickly evolved into something I never thought I'd experience. Slowly, Alex pulled back and gestured for Maxim to come closer. I didn't stop him. I'm not sure why. Perhaps I trusted Alex too much or felt obligated to try for his sake. Maxim kissed me gently at first, and I was overwhelmed by a mix of emotions: curiosity, guilt, excitement, and confusion. The night unfolded in a way that was slow and deliberate, just as Alex had promised. For a brief moment, I let myself be consumed by the thrill of it, despite the voice in my head warning me that this wasn't right. Alex stayed close, reassuring me, touching me, and trying to make me feel like everything was okay. But as the night continued, the reality of the situation began to hit me. This wasn't just about Alex and me anymore, it was about Maxim too. While part of me had enjoyed the physical sensations, another part felt deeply unsettled. What had I just done? Had I crossed a line I could never uncross? And why had Alex, the person I trusted most, encouraged this? When it was over, the room felt heavy with silence. The mood had shifted, and I couldn't bring myself to look at either of them. Shame, confusion, and a profound sense of betrayal began to creep in. Alex had convinced me this was about trust and strengthening our marriage. But all I felt was a growing distance between us. Over the days that followed, that distance only deepened. I replayed the events of that night endlessly, questioning how I had allowed myself to be swept into something so reckless. More than anything, I felt betrayed by Alex and by myself for going along with it. Eventually, I confronted Alex. I told him how wrong it all felt in hindsight, and that instead of feeling closer to him, I now felt more distant than ever. He tried to reassure me, insisting it was a one-time thing and that it didn't change anything between us. But the damage was done. Something fundamental in our relationship had shifted, something that couldn't be repaired. I began to realize that the night hadn't been about us or our bond. It was about Alex's desires and his willingness to push boundaries I wasn't comfortable with. The fact that he had involved Maxim, someone I had trusted, made it even worse. The betrayal was layered, and it became clear to me that our relationship could never be the same. As time passed, the gap between us widened. I couldn't trust Alex the way I once had, and every time I looked at him, I was reminded of that night. Eventually, we decided to separate. It wasn't an easy choice, but I knew I couldn't stay in a marriage where trust had been so profoundly broken. Looking back, I realize I should have trusted my instincts and stood firm in my boundaries. I allowed myself to be persuaded into something that didn't feel right, and the experience taught me a painful but valuable lesson about trust, boundaries, and self-respect. Trust, once shattered, is incredibly difficult to rebuild, and sometimes the people we think we know best can surprise us in the worst ways. This is where the story wraps up. Share your thoughts in the comments below for more stories like this. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you soon. See you next time.